The old iron gates creak, a warning. They stand as sentinels, guarding the secrets that lie within. Beyond them lies Shadow Hill Cemetery, a place shrouded in mystery and legend. Ancient oaks, twisted and gnarled, cast long fingers of shadow across the weathered tombstones. Each tree seems to whisper tales of the past, stories of those who once walked among us. The air grows heavy, thick with the weight of sorrow and the unspoken. A dense fog rolls in, blanketing the ground in a shroud of mystery. It whispers of the countless souls laid to rest beneath the unforgiving earth. Their voices, though faint, tell of lives once lived and dreams unfulfilled. Some say they never truly left. Ghostly figures are said to wander the grounds, their presence felt by those who dare to enter. This is more than a graveyard. It is a realm where the past and present collide, where memories linger and spirits roam free. It's a place where the veil between our world and the next wears thin. Here, the boundary between the living and the dead is almost non-existent. A place where the living fear to tread and the dead refuse to be silent. This is Shadow Hill, a place of eternal rest yet never truly at peace. And these are its stories, tales of love and loss, of joy and sorrow, of life and death. Each gravestone holds a story, waiting to be told. The history of Shadow Hill Cemetery is shrouded in darkness. Founded in 1847, the small plot of land quickly became the final resting place for the town's departed. But whispers followed. Strange deaths, unexplained accidents. People began to murmur about a curse, a darkness that clung to the very soil of Shadow Hill. One tale speaks of a grieving mother who made a pact with a malevolent entity to bring her child back. The child returned, but not as he once was. His eyes, they say, burned with an infernal light. His touch, a cold whisper of the grave. For generations, the stories persisted, passed down like cursed heirlooms. Those who dared venture into Shadow Hill after dark spoke of strange lights, disembodied voices, and an overwhelming sense of dread. Some saw figures lurking among the tombstones. Others felt the icy touch of unseen hands. One woman, Sarah, recounted her experience visiting her grandmother's grave. As dusk settled, she felt a cold hand on her shoulder and heard a voice whispering her name. She turned, but no one was there. Terrified, she fled, never to return. Then there's the story of Jacob, a tale that has been whispered in hushed tones for decades, a story that sends shivers down the spine of anyone who hears it. In the summer of 1974, Jacob, a daring and adventurous teenager, challenged his friends to join him for a night in the old cemetery on the outskirts of town. It was a place shrouded in mystery and fear, a place where legends of the supernatural thrived. They laughed, dismissing the stories as old wives' tales, mere fabrications meant to scare children. They were young, invincible, and eager to prove their bravery. But as the moon climbed high and shadows stretched like grasping claws, their laughter died in their throats. The air grew colder, and an eerie silence enveloped the graveyard, broken only by the rustling of leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. Jacob, emboldened by youthful bravado and a desire to impress his friends, wandered deeper into the graveyard. Each step he took seemed to echo louder, the crunch of gravel underfoot a stark reminder of his isolation. His friends watched in horror as a figure, tall and gaunt, emerged from behind a mausoleum. It moved with an unnatural grace, its presence sending a wave of dread through the group. They called out to Jacob, their voices trembling with fear, but the figure turned instead. In the pale moonlight, they saw its eyes, and what they saw would haunt them forever. Two burning embers of pure malevolence, eyes that seemed to pierce through the darkness and into their very souls. It was a sight that none of them would ever forget. Jacob was never quite right after that night. The experience had changed him, leaving him a shadow of his former self. He became withdrawn, his once bright and adventurous spirit now overshadowed by a deep, unspoken fear. He refused to speak of what he saw, his eyes haunted by a terror that chilled even the bravest soul. The memory of that night lingered, a dark cloud that followed him wherever he went, a constant reminder of the night Jacob met the devil. Section 5. A cold hand on your shoulder. These are but a few of the countless stories that cling to Shadow Hill Cemetery. Some dismiss them as folklore, the ramblings of superstitious minds. But others, those who have felt the cold breath of the grave on their skin, know better. They know that Shadow Hill is more than just a graveyard. It is a conduit, a thin place where the barriers between our world and the next crumble. A place where the echoes of pain, sorrow, and rage linger long after the flesh has turned to dust. Section 6. A town held hostage by fear. The town itself seems to exist in the shadow of the graveyard. People stay away, avoiding the place after dark. Even during the day, there's an unspoken tension, a sense of watchful waiting. The stories of Shadow Hill are not just stories. They are warnings, whispered from generation to generation. They serve as a constant reminder of the darkness that lurks just beyond the edge of town, a darkness that has seeped into the very fabric of the community, leaving an indelible stain of fear and unease. Section 7. The truth is out there. What is it about places like Shadow Hill that so captivates the human imagination? Perhaps it's the thrill of the unknown, the primal fear of the unseen. Or maybe, just maybe, it's the unsettling realization that some questions simply don't have answers. Whatever the reason, Shadow Hill Cemetery continues to fascinate and terrify in equal measure. It stands as a stark reminder that some secrets are better left buried and some gates are best left unopened. Section 8. Respecting the Dead. While the stories of Shadow Hill are undeniably chilling, it's important to remember that we are dealing with something very real. Death. The graveyard is not just a setting for ghost stories, it is a place where real people with real lives and histories are laid to rest. The graveyard is a place of rest, a final sanctuary for those who have passed on. Each tombstone tells a story, each grave marker a testament to a life once lived. The overgrown paths and ancient crypts are silent witnesses to the passage of time. When investigating a location like Shadow Hill, we must always proceed with respect and reverence. It is essential to approach each site with a sense of humility and understanding, recognizing the sacredness of the ground we tread upon. We are not here to exploit or sensationalize, but to understand and document. Our mission is to uncover the truths that lie beneath the surface, to bring to light the stories that have been forgotten or overlooked. Our goal is not to provoke, but to listen, to capture the essence of the place and the echoes of those who once walked these grounds. We hold vigils, not to summon spirits, but to honor them, to hear the whispers of the past and perhaps, just perhaps, shed light on the mysteries that lie hidden in the shadows. In doing so, we hope to bridge the gap between the living and the dead, fostering a deeper understanding and respect for those who have gone before us. Section 9. Conclusion: Shadow Hill's enduring mystery. Shadow Hill Cemetery remains an enigma, a place where the veil between our world and the next is thin and wavering. It is a place of sorrow, of mystery, and undeniable power. Whether you believe the stories or dismiss them as folklore, there is no denying the palpable sense of dread that permeates the very air. Shadow Hill stands as a testament to our enduring fascination with the unknown, a stark reminder that some mysteries may never be solved, and perhaps that is what makes it so terrifying.